All right, scholars, we are going to move on to cycle 1. So we are reading pages 175 to 180. If you don't have your book, grab it now. Pause the video. All right, we are going to move on to our book reading, chapter 15, page 175. Now, Bud, Miss Thomas said, this is what we call Grand Calloway Station. She parked the car in front of a big house and got out, so I grabbed my suitcase from the back seat and jumped out too. Even though I was still real embarrassed and quiet about all the crying I'd just been doing at Sweet Pea, I knew I was going to have to start talking sooner or later, so I asked her, how come this house has got a name, ma'am? She said, Mr. Calloway said a long time ago that there were so many different people in and out of here at so many different hours of the day and night that it reminded him of that train station in New York City, Grand Central Station. The name kind of stuck. As soon as we got inside, Miss Thomas said, I'll show you around the place tomorrow. Tonight it's late, and we're all pretty tired. So I'll take you right up to where you're going to be sleeping. I followed her up the staircase and walked down a hall. Miss Thomas opened a door, and we went in. On one side there was a bed and a window with some curtains, and on the other side were two little doors. Sitting in the space between the two doors was a chair and a little table, like the kind you see in the moving pictures that women use to put lipstick on. It had a long, skinny drawer that went across the bottom and a big, round mirror stuck right on top. Next to the bed, there was a little table with a lamp that had a picture of a skinny little black horse right in the lampshade. Miss Thomas turned on the lamp, and the horse got all bright. Now I could see he was brown. Miss Thomas said, we're gonna have to talk to Mr. Calloway about where you can put your things, Bud. I don't think you'll be able to fit anything in those closets. She pointed at the two little doors. There are a lot of old things in there that he really needs to clear out. For now, just put your suitcase there. She pointed at the table with the mirror on it. I said, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. She smiled and said, okay, I guess that's it. The first door in the hall on the left is my room. The second door is Mr. Calloway's, and the door on the right is the bathroom. Do you think you'll be all right? I would, except that those two little doors were starting to make me nervous. They looked like they were just the right size for a young Frankenstein or Wolfman to come busting out of once all the grown folks left the room. And since there was only one chair in the room, I wouldn't be able to block both the doors off. I said, I'll probably be okay, ma'am, but there's one thing I'm wondering about. What's that, sweetheart? I pointed at the doors and said, are those locked? I was going to have to try to make a better first impression on Miss Thomas. She had to think I was pretty babyish, what with me crying my eyes out before, and now being scared of some little monster-sized doors. She laughed and said, I don't think they're locked. But there's nothing in there but girls' clothes and toys. I said, won't the girl get mad if she comes back in here and I'm sleeping in her bed? Miss Thomas waited a second, like she had to think. She finally said, no, Bud, I don't think you have to worry about that. She's gone. Uh-oh. That was two things to get nervous about in one sentence. The first thing to worry about was Rules and Things number 547, or something. That was the one about when an adult tells you don't worry. The second bad thing was Bud Caldwell's Rules and Things to Having a Funner Life and Making a Better liar out of Yourself, number 28. That was a real short one. Rules and Things number 28. Gone equals dead. I don't know why grown folks can't say someone is dead. They think it's a lot easier to say gone. That meant I was gonna have to spend the night in the room of a little dead girl. That meant I wasn't gonna get much sleep at all. I could jam the door up against one of the doorknobs, and I'd have to scooch the table with the mirror over up against the other one. I don't buy it when people tell you that the closets are the only way a ghost or monster can get into your room. Shucks, I bet they got ways to come up from under your bed, or if they want to get at you real bad, I bet they can even slide out of a drawer that you think is shut good and tight. Miss Thomas said, I'll see you in the morning. You get a good night's sleep. She closed the door and was gone, just like that. Before you could say Jack Robinson, I had the chair jammed up underneath that one doorknob and was trying to figure out the best way to push the dresser thing when I heard some loud voices coming out from the hallway. It was Hermione Calloway and Miss Thomas at going at each other pretty good. They argued back and forth, so I sat on the bed and put my suitcase in my lap, hoping that Mr. Calloway would win the argument and they'd give me another place to sleep. I can never get why grown folks will put a kid all alone in a bedroom at night. It's just like they give all it's just like they give the ghosts a treasure map, and instead of there being a big pot of gold where X marks the spot, there's some poor kid that's sound asleep. The door banged open and Hermione Calloway stood there, huffing and puffing like the big bad wolf. Only, with his belly, it looked like he'd already eaten the three little pigs. I wasn't too worried, because I could see the toes of Miss Thomas's shoes in the doorway. Hermione Calloway looked at me sitting on the bed and rushed over to the first little closet door. With one mighty huff, he swiped the ghost-blocking chair away and stuck a key in the lock. Then he stomped over to the other closet door and locked it too. He kind of whispered so Miss Thomas couldn't hear. "You've got the rest of them fooled, but not me. There's something about you that I don't like. I'm gonna find out what your game is, and believe you me, Scamp, you're going back where you belong." He stuck the key back in his pants pocket, walked out of the room, and slammed the door. The door wasn't even done shaking from being slammed so hard when it jumped up again. Hermione Calloway pointed a finger at me and said, "And you better not do any snooping around this room or somewhere else in this house. I know where every single thing belongs, and I can tell right away when something's missing. I've got little secret bells all over everything, and when something's stolen, the bell goes off, and only I can hear it, so watch your step." The poor door got slammed again. Miss Thomas said, "You know, Herman, half the time I don't know if I should laugh at you or just feel sorry for you." What Hermione Calloway said reminded me of what they used to tell us when they'd take us kids from the home to the YMCA to go swimming. Before we'd start swimming, and the white lifeguard made us sit on the edge of the pool with our feet in the water. He'd say, "We've had problems with you children urinating in the pool in the past. We've begged you and pleaded with you to stop, but you don't seem to get the message. This has forced the Y to spend a great deal of money to put a special new kind of magic chemical in the water." We're going to pause there and go back to our quiz. Number 1 takes a quote from page 180 that says, "You better not do any snooping around this room or anywhere else in this house. I know where every single thing belongs and can tell you right away when something's missing." That's very similar to how Bud was talking about his suitcase at the beginning. I'd like you to tell me what that similarity is in a sentence or two. Pause the video and answer that question. Moving on to the next question. Why is Bud so protective of his suitcase? And then why might Hermione Calloway be so protective of this room? If you think about who Miss Thomas said had this room before, who might that person be to Hermione Calloway? Why might he be protective of that? When you are done answering, move on to cycle 2.